Okay, so today we're going to be looking at what is an analytical essay. We'll look at the structure, what you need to actually put in your essay, and we'll break down an introduction. So, what is an analytical essay? Well, it examines a text and it makes a particular claim. So, this term you've been reading a novel, and we've been examining it, marking evidence throughout it, discussing the marginalisation, discussing the challenges and the hardships throughout it. So, what you need to do now is write an analytical essay responding to the novel. So, you need to answer the novel question, what are the challenges and hardships faced by the characters in the novel? That is the question that you're responding to, and it's written on your task sheet. So, for an analytical essay, you have to examine the text. What that means is you have to break it down into tiny little parts, pull apart the pieces, and talk about what it actually means and what it shows, which is what we've been doing in class when you've been marking all the pages and writing down examples of hardships and challenges. So your claim has to be arguable. It means that you have to have a point of view or an opinion. Now, this is an analytical essay, which means that you actually have to use the evidence to back up your point. It's not persuasive. So I don't want you to use any persuasive techniques, no rhetorical questions, no emotive language, because you're not trying to persuade somebody of something. You're analyzing the evidence. So you're looking at all of the situations of hardships and marginalisation and challenges that happen in the novel, and you're saying, yes, these are marginalisation, or these are hardships, or these are challenges experienced by the characters. So somebody could, however, come along and contest that and say to you, well, actually, no, I don't think it is. This is what I think it is. But they would have to obviously take their side and make their argument using their particular evidence to back up what they're saying. So the main difference between an analytical essay and a persuasive essay is that one analyzes the evidence and uses the evidence to actually speak for them rather than using hyperbole, exaggeration, emotive language, using all of those devices to convince. You actually use the evidence to convince. So you need to ask yourself, what am I trying to prove here? And this is what's going to be your thesis statement. So you're trying to prove that, yes, there are hardships and challenges experienced by the characters, and this is what they are. Right, so first off, what we need to have in our essay is we need to look at the structure. So the structure of your analytical essay is going to include an introduction, 2 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Now, a lot of the time you'll actually have 3 body paragraphs, but in this particular one, we only want 2. As you progress further in the years, you'll end up writing 3. Your word count is 400 words as a minimum, 600 as the max, with a total absolute maximum of 660. So if you have to go just that little bit over, the absolute maximum is 660. Now, some of you are probably thinking that's quite a lot to write, but it's actually not. And it does include your quotes. So I've done a bit of a breakdown here. You've got about 50 words for your introduction, about 200 to 250 for each body paragraph, and 50 for your conclusion. Now, your tone is formal and analytical. You are writing for your teacher, so your language should be sophisticated. Your language should be using strong vocabulary, some academic words. Instead of saying important, you might say the word significant. So tone is analytical, which means that you are actually analyzing. Now, what's really important here is that you use your little blue books that you've been given from your English teachers to help you analyze and break apart the evidence. So your tone needs to be serious, and it needs to be written in third person, which means that you don't have any first person pronouns. So no I, we, my, our, none of that. Okay, it needs to be third person. So this is they, for example. So I'll teach you how to do that. Your points have to be backed up with evidence from the text, and you must use the evidence to support what you're saying. So, For example, if you're going to tell me that Mahtab and her family are marginalized in Afghanistan, then you need to tell me an example of when they are. So you might say Mahtab and her family are marginalized in Afghanistan by the Taliban, which are a dangerous extremist religious group. The Taliban would often kidnap people from their homes, they'd make them feel unsafe for reasons, like women receiving education and things like that. You would use a quote, so you might use the one on page 6 that says stonings, whipping, beatings, Taliban, and then you would further explain that quote. So, for example, Martab's grandfather and father were kidnapped from their home, and their grandfather was never found again. The father was beat significantly, which shows the level of danger that they were in from the Taliban. So you're actually explaining the evidence and how it backs up your point and show me that the evidence that you've chosen is a challenge or hardship. Now, you need 2 pieces of evidence per body paragraph. Okay, so you need to make sure that you are selecting the strongest evidence that you possibly can. Okay, so just ignore that baby in the background. I'm in a meeting room and it's quite loud. So choose 2 pieces of the strongest evidence and explain how your evidence shows your challenge or hardship. That is where you get your really good marks from. Okay, so an introduction. An introduction includes a few different things. It has an opening or a background statement that provides an introduction to the book in an interesting way. So you will tell me the title of the book, the author, you'll tell me when the book was made, and you'll give me a little bit of information about it. So you're adding some context in there. So you should be telling me, where the novel is set, who are the characters involved, and, a general sentence about why it's important.